You've got to face something head-on, because no one's there to say it gently. The world doesn't owe you a thing. Not an opportunity. Not an apology. Not a helping hand. The faster you stop expecting it, the faster you start owning your power. See, there's a freedom that comes the moment you realize no one's coming to rescue you. No one's going to hand your dream. No one's going to pick you up and carry you across the finish line. That's not how this game works. This is life, and life rewards those who show up and take ownership, not those who sit back and wait for fairness to kick in. You can sit around waiting for someone to understand your pain, for someone to notice your effort, for the perfect time, the perfect mood, the perfect set of circumstances to finally align. Or you can decide today that everything that happens, you own it. You own the outcome. You own the process. You own the choices. You stop blaming the past, the people who left, the boss who overlooked you, the family that doubted you. Because the moment you put your life in someone else's hands, you've given away your fire. You're not here to be given something. You're here to build it, to take full control of it, to wake up every single day and say, no matter what happens today, it's on me. The wins, I earned them. The losses, I'll learn from them. Either way, I stay in the driver's seat. People confuse entitlement with ambition, thinking they deserve greatness without going through struggle. Let me tell you something. The people who are unstoppable aren't the ones with the smoothest path. They're the ones who stopped complaining about the path and started walking it with intent. They stopped waiting for ideal conditions and started creating results with what they had. The hard truth. If you want it, you better move like it. Nobody cares about your potential until you do something with it. You've got goals, dreams, visions you can't shake. But what are you doing about them when no one's watching? When it's not fun? When it's exhausting? That's when you find out if you really taken ownership, or if you're still hoping someone else is going to push you across the line. Every excuse you make gives your power away. Every time you blame, you shrink, and every time you delay action, you delay your growth. Look around. There are people with less than you, doing more than you. Not because they're luckier, not because they're more gifted, but because they made a decision to stop negotiating their limitations, a decision to stop being the victim in their story and become the author instead. And it starts small. You don't need some overnight miracle. You need a shift in mentality, a shift from deserve to I'll earn, from I wish to I will, from I can't because of them to I must because of me. That mindset will change your life faster than any advice, faster than any program, faster than a motivation video you watch. It rewires your identity. It changes how you show up. You stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. When you own everything, you stop fearing everything. When you realize it's all on you, you stop being shocked when it gets hard. You expect the resistance, you respect the grind, and you realize it's all part of the process of rising. There's no secret formula. There's no shortcut. Just you, your focus, your work, and your decision to take full command of your path. And here's the beautiful part: the minute you stop waiting for the world to make room for you, the moment you stop hoping someone gives you permission, you start moving with a kind of energy no one can take from you. You stop being tossed around by circumstances. You stop being distracted by opinions, because now everything you do has purpose. Every move is yours, and that kind of ownership, that's power most people never tap into. The world owes you nothing, but you owe yourself everything. Start moving like it. What you've been through matters. The pain you carry is real. It shaped you, scarred you, tested you, and it's valid. No one's asking you to pretend it can't happen. No one's asking you to erase your story or bottle it up and act like it never hurt. That pain, that wound, that heartbreak or betrayal or failure, that was part of your journey, but it is not who you are. Too many people take their pain, build their identity around it. They wear it like armor, thinking it protects them, thinking it defines them. But pain is an experience, not a definition. You felt it, yes, but you're not meant to become it. You're meant to move through it. When you wrap your entire sense of self around what broke you, you stay stuck in the moment you were crushed. You relive it again and again. Not because life is punishing you, but because you haven't chosen to separate who you are from what happened. But there's a difference, a massive difference. You are not the moment you were left. You are not the time you failed. You are not the harsh words they said or the silence they gave. You are not the day everything fell apart. That was a chapter, not your whole book. But if you keep rereading the same paragraph over and over, you'll never write the next page. Your pain is part of your story, but it is not your identity. You don't owe anyone a performance of your suffering. You don't have to carry the same narrative just because it's familiar. What happened to you might not be your fault, but what you do with it now, that is your responsibility. You get to choose if it becomes your fuel or your cage. Let's be honest. Pain wants to settle in. It wants to convince you that it's safer to stay hurt, stay bitter, stay in survival mode. Because it's familiar. Because it gives you a reason not to risk again, not to trust again, not to try again. It gives you a story that explains why you feel stuck. But growth requires you to challenge that story. To look that pain in the face and say, I see you, I've carried you. But you don't get to drive anymore. We live in a world that glorifies struggle and forgets healing, that rewards trauma narratives more than transformation. But your power lies in how you rise, not in how long you stay down. You don't need to prove your pain to be strong. You prove your strength by not letting it become the ceiling over your life. And listen, healing doesn't mean you forget. It means you stop identifying as the one who's always broken. It means you begin identifying as the one who got back up, the one who kept going, the one who chose to lead their life, even with the scars. People will always have opinions. Far will only ever see you through the lens of what you've been through. That's their limitation, not yours. You don't have to shrink, fit their perception. You weren't meant to stay in the same emotional room forever. You were meant to outgrow it. Outrun it, outshine it. So, what do? You take your pain and you build. You take your losses and you learn. You take your past and you put it where it belongs, being you. Let it remind you, not define you. Let it sharpen you, not soften your belief in what's next. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of release. A version that's not afraid of what happened, because they no longer carry it like it's their name. They carry it like it's their lesson, like it's their wisdom, like it's their fire. You are more than what hurt you. You are what rose after it. You don't need to keep explaining your pain to justify your existence. You're here. You made it, and that's enough to start again. The pain is real, but it's not the end of your story unless you let it be. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be heard. In a world where the loudest voices often get the most attention, it's easy to start believing that if you're not being noticed, you're not making progress. But that's a lie. True power doesn't come from noise. It comes from silence. It comes from what you build knowns watching, when no one's clapping, when it's just you and the grind, alone in the dark. There's something sacred about it. It's where you meet the rawest version of yourself. No applause, no validation, no spotlight. Just the question, who are you when no one's watching? That's where the real work begins. That's where the real results are born. Not on the stage, not in the comments section, not a moment you get recognition, but in the unseen hours The early mornings, the late nights, the reps no one counts but you. You don't need to post it. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it to anyone else. Because when you're serious about the life you're building, you stop caring who knows. The noise doesn't matter anymore. Their opinions don't build your dream. Their likes don't lift the weights. Their comments don't pay the price for the life you're chasing. You do. Silencing the noise means refusing to let external distractions become internal doubts. It means turning down the volume on comparison, on expectation, on approval. All those things steal your energy. They rob you of the focus you need to build. You can't be obsessed with the coming and distracted by applause at the same time. You can't check your reflection every 5 seconds and still run full speed. You've got to decide. Do you want attention or do you want results? Because the truth is, no one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand your breakthrough. You've got to go into the dark with nothing but your belief, your work ethic, and your vision. You've got to be willing to look crazy, to be misunderstood, to be invisible, because that's where growth happens. Growth doesn't need permission, it needs commitment. Think about the seed buried in the soil. No sunlight, no praise, no audience, just pressure, darkness, and silent transformation. And one day, it breaks through. That's you. That's your journey. But if you pull that seed out every day to show the world it's growing, it'll never take root. You've got to protect the process. Trust the darkness. It's where your strength is formed. Everybody wants to shine, but nobody wants to sharpen in silence. They want the crown, but not the climb. But you're different. You understand that silence is no absence. It's preparation. Building in the dark isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing that when the world finally sees you, they're going to meet someone who's already been forged. Not someone performing, someone proven. Let others chase the spotlight. Let others beg for attention. You keep your head down. You keep moving, because your power multiplies when it's undisturbed. And when it's time, when it's truly time, you won't need to announce anything. Your results will speak. Your consistency will speak. Your presence will speak. And when people finally ask how you did it, you won't need a long speech. You'll just smile, because you'll know the real work was done in silence, in private, in discipline, in darkness. That's where greatness is born, not where it's displayed. So silence the noise, get off the stage, get off the scroll, get into the zone. Let them wonder where you went. Let them question what you're doing. And while they talk, while they distract themselves with the surface, you build. Quietly, powerfully, without the world watching, because you know that when it's built right in the dark, it can't be shaken in the light. Your future deserves that level focus. Your dream deserves that level of protection. So step into the silence, trust the unseen work, and build the life they'll never see coming. Your feelings will lie to you. Your discipline never will. See, you don't rise by doing what you feel like. You rise by doing what moves you. You feel it when I don't feel like it. That's the separation. That's the gap between who stays average and who becomes unstoppable. It's not about motivation. It's not about waiting for the perfect mood or the perfect moment. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that your standards override your emotions. There are going to be days when you feel tired, days when you feel drained, days when your mind says, take it easy, sleep in, brew enough. But if you always listen to how you feel, you will never build anything that lasts. Because greatness doesn't bow comfort. It doesn't rise out of convenience. It comes from consistency, from showing up anyway. You've got to teach yourself that your feelings are not commands. They're just suggestions, and most of the time, they're soft. They want what's easy. They want what's comfortable. But your discipline, that's your edge. That's the voice that says, I hear you, but we're doing it anyway. That's power. That's maturity. That's control. The world won't reward you for how you feel. It rewards you for what you do. It rewards execution. It rewards showing up, locked in, over and over again. And you don't get to that level of consistency by chasing moods. You get there by anchoring to principles. You get there by writing the rules for your life with following them, even when your emotions rebel. Discipline is like armor. It protects your momentum. It guards your vision. When your mind starts spinning, when your heart starts racing, when everything inside you wants to pull back, it's discipline that holds the lean. And every time you honor it, you reinforce your identity. You tell yourself, this is who I am now. Not someone ruled by impulse, but someone guided by purpose. Think about the champions you admire. The ones who built something real, the ones who stand apart. Do you think they always felt like pushing, like grinding, like staying locked in when distractions came calling? Of course not. They had doubts, they had emotions. But you trained their mind to obey their vision, not their mood. That's why they rose, not because they were special, but because they chose discipline year and over again. When it hurt, when it was boring, when it was inconvenient. And you can do the same. You just have to decide. Decide how you feel will no longer dictate how you live. Decide that your commitment to your matters more than your craving for comfort. Decide that the life you're building deserves that kind of respect. And listen, this doesn't mean you ignore your emotions. It means you lead them. It means you feel them, acknowledge them, and still move with clarity. You don't get pulled off course. You don't negotiate with weakness. You don't give your future away to temporary feelings. You've got to be your own anchor. You've got to show up when the motivation is gone, when the support is quiet, when the environment is heavy. You've got to be the one who carries the standard, not because it's easy, but because you said you would. Because the highest level of respect is self-respect, and you earn that by keeping promises to yourself. Especially when it's hard, there will be days when no one sees your effort. No one claps, no one encourages. But those are the days that shape you. Those are the days that harden your will. And when you stack enough of them, when you build that pattern brick by brick, the results will come. The strength will come. The transformation will come. And it'll come from you, not from some external push, but from the quiet, relentless fire you lit inside yourself. So every time you want to quit, every time you feel like backing down, ask yourself, who do I want to be? What life am I building? And am I going to let one emotion hijack all that I've worked for? The answer should be no, because you didn't come this far to surrender to a feeling. You came to win. And to win, your discipline must outweigh your feelings. Every time. We live in a world that wants you to constantly compare, to measure your worth by someone else's highlight reel, to scroll through curated victories and wonder, am I behind? But here's the truth, your only real competition is the person you were yesterday. See, chasing someone else's path is a trap, because you don't know what it took for them to get there. You don't know their pain, their background, their battles. And even if you did, what would it change? None of that moves your life forward. None of that helps you grow into the person you're meant to become. Because their race isn't your race. And their destination isn't your destination. That's why you've got to stop competing with people and start outgrowing yourself. This is your war, your development, your climb. The goal isn't to beat anyone else. The goal is to become so locked in on your own evolution that you don't even notice what anyone else is doing. Because while they're looking sideways, you're looking forward. While they're comparing, you're building. And while they're chasing validation, you're chasing mastery. Progress, it's always loud. Growth doesn't always post well on social media, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Every day you show up with intention, you're gaining ground. Every time you act from discipline instead of impulse, you're creating a gap between who you used to be and who you're becoming. That's the real scoreboard. Not likes, not applause, but the internal wins, the quiet shifts, the subtle evolution that compounds in something unrecognizable over time. And you know what's powerful? When you wake up and realize the person you used to be wouldn't recognize who you are now. That version of you, the one who hesitated, doubted, gave in to fear, that version starts fading because you outworked them, you outlasted them, you outgrew them, and now your only mission is to keep going. Because growth is a daily battle, and the minute you start feeling satisfied comparing yourself to someone you've already passed, you stop moving. That's how people plagium. That's how lose momentum. They start looking back and feeling proud, when they should be looking up and pushing further. So the standard has to rise every day, not to impress anyone, not to feel superior, but to respect your potential, to stretch your capacity, to keep proving to yourself that you haven't even scratched the surface yet. Because you haven't. There's more in you. There's always more in you. But you'll never touch it if you're stuck chasing someone else's level. You touch it by chasing your own next level. The next level of discipline, the next level of execution, the next level of character. You get there by asking one question every single day. Did I beat yesterday's version of me? If the answer is yes, that's momentum. If the answer is no, then you know exactly what to do. And don't let pride block you. Don't let ego tell you've done enough, because the old you is always waiting for an invitation to come back. That weaker version, that one wanted comfort and distraction and excuses, is still there. And if you take your foot off the gas, even for a second, they'll slip back in and take the wheel. So your job is to stay ahead of that. Stay growing. Stay humble enough to know you're never done. Because at the end of the day, the person you're becoming is the only one who matters, not the critics, not the doubters, not even the supporters. Just you, the real you, the one you've been building, day by day, in the dark. That version of you deserves your full effort. That version is your responsibility. So forget the noise, forget the race, forget the competition. Focus on becoming so strong, so grounded, so relentless, that your old self wouldn't even recognize your new one. That's the only win that matters, and that's the only one that lasts.